Hi, everybody, and welcome to Final Play Sports Wrap. I'm your host, Pete Lubar, and today we're going to talk about the last couple weeks in the Mountain West. Basketball, Mountain West is in the midpoint now. Some of the teams have played 10 conference games. Others will get that this Tuesday or Wednesday, but we're right at the midpoint, so we're going to talk a little bit about that, where we are, who's doing well, who's not. I'm a little bit late on this. I usually like to drop on Thursdays, but I was in Arizona this past week doing a little research for my next project, and I mean research. So anyhow, we're going to talk about what's going on. New Mexico continues to lead the Mountain West with 3 victories over the last 10 days. They beat Boise at home fairly substantially. They beat Fresno at home by a ton, and then they beat UNLV this past weekend on the road by 2 points, 75-73. Donovan Dent had 34 points. Nelly Jr. Joseph had 22 points, 18 rebounds for the Lobos. A nice win for the Lobos. UNLV had crept up into the standings with some nice road victories. And so this was a big win for New Mexico. It keeps them at 9-1 through 10 games in first place. Big game coming up against Utah State this Saturday. CSU, also doing really well, has climbed up into third in the conference. They won 3 times. They beat Wyoming, they beat Boise, and they beat Fresno. Clifford is a terrific player. He had 24, 20, and 24 points respectively in the 3 games, and has moved himself up into a spot right now on my personal conference all conference team, and we'll see how that goes for whether I do guess well as well as the writers and coaches later on this year. Utah State continues to play good ball. They're 9-1 now. They beat Air Force and they beat Nevada, and they beat them both quite handily. UNLV got a great road win over San Diego State, but then lost to both Wyoming sort of inexplicably, and then they lost to New Mexico, as I mentioned. The Wyoming loss by 2 at home was especially damaging for UNLV, and so they dropped to 6-3 in conference. Boise beat Wyoming in Wyoming by a ton, which was a great win for Wyoming, great win for Boise, and then lost to UNM and CSU on the road. So they also, I think, are 6-3. Yeah, so that's kind of the highlights of the week from a first half all-conference team. I'm going to go with this. I'm going to go with Donovan Dent for New Mexico. He's been averaging 19 points, 6.6 assists. Degenhart from Boise, 18 points per game, 6 rebounds. Nick Clifford, 17.5, 9.6 rebounds. And then Ian Martinez from Utah State, 17 points, 3 rebounds. And finally, my center will be Nelly Jr. Joseph, 13 point, 10.4 rebounds per game. So that would be my first team. And the second team, the Mountain West is very heavily guard-oriented this year, but so my second team is almost all guards. Obi Agbin from Wyoming is averaging 18.2 points a game. Deaton Thompson, a very talented player out of UNLV. Mason Falsla from Utah State. My only forward in the group, Nick Davidson from Nevada. And finally, Josh Uduje, Josh Uduje from San Jose State, transferred from Utah State. So if we look at the Mountain West standings now, once again, New Mexico at 9-1 leads. They're 17-4 overall. Utah State trails closely, half a game back. Utah State 8-1 and 18-2 overall. CSU, as I mentioned, had a really good week, climbs up to 7-2, and in third place now by themselves, 13-7 overall. San Diego State is 6-3. Boise State is 5-4, UNLV 5-4, and Nevada 3-6, Wyoming 3-6, and San Jose State 3-6, and then Fresno State and Air Force bring up the bottom. So that's the standings as we are. From a remaining schedule standpoint, UNM has Utah State both home and away, so those will be key games for the Lobos and the Aggies. They also have Boise State away, Nevada away, and San Diego State away. So the Lobos have a very tough away schedule coming up. They've got games with CSU and UNLV at home. Utah State has New Mexico home and away, as I just mentioned. They've got UNLV at home, San Diego State at home, Boise, CSU, and Wyoming away. Wyoming is not easy in Wyoming, so I put that one on there because they've definitely had the ability to upset some teams. CSU is at New Mexico, at Utah State, and at Boise, and at UNLV. So they've got a tough road schedule as well. They've got home games against Nevada and San Diego State. San Diego State has CSU, Utah, and UNLV on the road, and they have New Mexico, Nevada, and Boise at home. So a fairly balanced schedule for them, maybe a little bit easier than some. And then UNLV has Utah State and Nevada and UNM left on their schedule at those locations. And then they have CSU, Nevada, San Diego State at home. So you might say that UNLV has the easiest schedule for the rest of the way. So we'll see how that shakes out. From a bracketology standpoint, Lunardi right now has Utah State, New Mexico, and San Diego State in the field. Utah State is an 8th seed, New Mexico is an 11th seed, and San Diego State right now is an 11th seed, part of that last 4 in. So I think they play in that play-in game the first night. CSU is playing its way up the field, but that loss to CU really hurting the Rams. CU has not won a game in the Big 12, and so that's dragging them down a little bit. If we look at the net, it's interesting. We have those 3 teams. Utah State's at 31, San Diego State is at 41, and New Mexico is at 56. I still don't understand the net. I know, I've read it. I've done everything I can, but right now it's a bit of a mystery. I'm going to give you some examples. Gonzaga right now is 16th in the net, and they are 2-5 in quad 1 games and 2-1 in quad 2 games. St. John's is 26th. They're 1-3 in quad 1 and 4-0 in quad 2. St. Mary's is 23. They have no quad 1 wins and are 5-3 in quad 2. So now I'm going to compare with a couple Mountain West teams. Utah State, 3-0 in quad 1 and 4-2 in quad 2. So once again, Utah State is currently 31, but they have arguably a better record than Gonzaga. Remember, Gonzaga's 2-5 in quad wins. They don't win any of them, and 2-1 in quad 2 games. So they don't even play quad 2 games. Their conference is relatively light. So Utah State, 31. They're 3-0 in quad 1 and 4-2 in quad 2. New Mexico, 56. They are 1-1 in quad 1 and 6-1 in quad 2. So I would argue that New Mexico has a better record than St. Mary's, St. John's, and potentially Gonzaga. And yet they're ranked 40 points below, and that's a shame that the Mountain West gets ranked so low consistently. So anyhow, that is all I have for this week. There's a lot of great games coming up. That Saturday game between New Mexico and Utah State should be an excellent game. I think it's a afternoon game. So stay tuned, and we'll update you all next. If you want to reach me, you can reach me at the contact information that follows. And once again, it always helps a brother if you can subscribe to my YouTube page. Hope you have a great day, and enjoy the rest of the week. Take care. Bye.